I'm on here. Yeah, thanks, Tim. Lucky last today, and thanks for everyone for organising today's presentation. I'd also like to welcome all investors and attendees to today's presentation. My name is Scott Beaton. I'm MD CEO of TZ. Started with TZ back last year in March. My first day was a day of lockdown, so as you can imagine, the first couple of months in this new role was an interesting ride. Just briefly, today's presentation, I'm going to cover what TZ is, what our business, technology and hardware, our key categories that we operate in, which is retail, day lockers for office and security, mainly in data centres, and our education offerings around the mailroom and locker systems. Our revenue model, and I'll go through just some of our focuses and current priorities. Next slide, please. So essentially, when TZ started back at late 1990s, we invented the smart lock, and it was a very different proposition then because the electronics and smart access was not around. But what we've developed is a smart locking device, as you can see here in the top right-hand corner. And this is our locking device, which is low power consumption, lightweight, flexible form factor, and it's controlled by integrated microprocessors. But most importantly, it's got integrated sensors that report back to the user and managers of the locking system. And what that basically means, you've got a full audit control and user experience that tells you whether your lock has been tampered with, whether your door is opened, how long it was open for, was it unlocked, and there's many, many different signals that come back. In our data center environment, our locking devices also sensor for heat, so which is very important in case of fire. Next slide, please. So together with our software platform, which is the most advanced software platform, what basically it allows us to have solutions in retail, data center, logistics, office facilities, commercial asset securities, postal, and then we have this area of our business, which you could call it future solutions. And really that's as big as your imagination, where there's a need for a lock or access control to a particular area of your business or your home. That's where we potentially can be. Just in the bottom of the slide here, we've got different pictures of most of our different locking devices that we have in our smart locks. So basically that sums up the core overview of our business. Next slide. So where we drive revenue, we have solutions for retail click and collect, and you can see one of our clients here, UPS, and our locker solutions that we have for them. We have our business in universities where we have full mailroom and postal lockers. And then we've got our data center security, which is the bottom left-hand corner, where we provide different micro level of access controls to data centers, but it's more importantly, our clients are those clients that are in those data centers that need to control the data to the rack. And then we've got our corporate day locker solution, and you can see a picture here of Westpac and one of the solutions we have in one of their buildings in Australia. Next slide, please. The thing that really excites me about TZ, and one of the propositions of joining TZ, was actually its very impressive client list. You won't find any other ASX listed company that I know of that actually deals with all of these type of clients. And you know, when you really want an endorsement for your technology, when the major technology companies in the world, such as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, etc., Google, are buying our technology, it's a great endorsement for this for our company, and we're very proud here, being a little Australian listed company, to actually have these type of clients. Next slide. So basically, I'm just going to go through as quickly as I can to break down part of our business model. So basically, where there's disruption in the marketplace, a lot of the disruption in those providers also need some sort of access control, locking device, or some sort of technology solution to drive that. So typically in the retail sector, if you go back 50 years ago, if you wanted something to buy, you'd go to a store and you'd try to find it. So basically, you know, it was the model worked well, but you know, there was issues around supply, etc. So with the TZ model, what we've got, we provide to retailers plenty of options, from software all the way through to delivery at the other end, where we can match couriers, etc., to the provider, to the retailer, where it's all about an e-commerce solution. So where whether you're a large or a small retailer, obviously people can go onto the internet, wherever it is, from their smartphone, from their laptop, etc., and they can buy online. And it doesn't matter where they are, and they can buy products from all around the world. But where we then come into it, we provide, once you've gone into the shopping cart and you've actually purchased that, that's where, depending on the courier, a lot of our solutions are then embedded with software, from notifications through the delivery to you being able to use a locker bank to pick up, to collect your package. But also the other thing I would like to highlight here in this opportunity for TZ is returns is often a nightmare, whether you have to go to a store or just return by going to post. And that's another thing that TZ is well positioned with its software, where it allows many consumers to actually return their belongings using our different locker systems around the world. So that's basically covers a big solution for us. But what I'm trying to highlight here is that TZ has technology both in the hardware, being a lock and a locker bank, but also in the software that drives, whether it be linking to the courier or the notifications and whatnot that can go through to the consumer and then going back to the retailer and providing them some tools to enhance their e-commerce solution. Next slide. I've included in this slide just a couple of examples of where, and really indicates the global reach that TZ has. So our largest market is the US, but in this slide here, I've included a slide from DSV. DSV is a large client of ours out of South Africa, and they have many different click and collect solutions and locker banks, the large logistics provider, but also their solution goes into Nedbank in South Africa, where the usage of the locker network is used to for the bank to provide ATM cards and debit cards, credit cards, etc., to their clients. Where where we're sitting in Australia, we probably don't recognise that to get those solutions out with mail theft, some of their clients not having mailboxes, maybe even physical addresses, it was actually an issue for the bank. And so, and the other one here I've used is Westtrack, which they're a Caterpillar reseller here in Australia. And I've included this slide here to really show you how impressive our solution is in there. So when I actually visited their distribution centre here in Sydney, I was blown away of how big it was and just the size of this operation. And then to see that the amount of people that were coming and collecting different packages from there was just, I just never expected it. And our solutions, as I was saying here, it goes from ordering online to notifications to a pickup, whether it be in the locker bank, as you can see on that bottom right-hand side picture, or alternatively, if you go in and you pick up from in-store, also our software solution is embedded all the way through the solution. So more importantly, how do we make money? So we make money from selling hardware such as smart locks and electronics and the physical locker. But then we have our software platform where we have a hosted option where clients will take their own hosted solution, or we have our own cloud-based, SaaS-based solution where we sell that way. Other way we make money is by hosting solutions and ongoing software and hardware maintenance. And we also have a lot of our clients, particularly on the back, well, I shouldn't say the back, but staff going back into offices, particularly the large clients in our day locker suite, where we're getting bespoke requests coming through to amend the workflow and how people will access and use the locker. Next slide, please. So I've just tried to give you a summary of just parts of our business because we only have 10 minutes. But just some of our financial highlights here, also what the drives our business, and then I'll go into now just the financial highlights. So basically, our business in our first half year result for FY21, we had revenue of 8.6 million. It was an 8% increase. We had the first positive result for the business with an EBITDA of 200,000. And that was a very good result for TZ, particularly from where we've come. But more importantly, what I'm really trying to highlight here in the last couple of bits is this changing way that we sell what we do in our solutions, where our recurring everyday revenue of the business, which is made up a mixture of ongoing revenue, software, hardware maintenance, but contracted revenue, has now grown to over 2.5 million. From only a couple of years ago, it was basically nothing. And we have a goal there to increase that to 10 million over FY23. Now that alone ensures that our fixed costs of the business are covered by this ongoing everyday revenue that I'm talking about. And I just wanted to highlight here just a couple of, just even the last 30 days of orders coming through. So the right column over here just shows you in our US business alone, just all these different orders that are coming through that we're taking. And that's a mixture from all of our solutions, from day locker, postal, and a couple of clients also upgrading and expanding their solutions. And so we're on target there in our plan in the US to clear over just over US $9 million for this financial year. So that's our orders. Then we've got to deliver them. Some will be delivered this financial year and others will fall into next. But it just gives you an indication of the momentum. And in the US, unfortunately for us with COVID, a lot of these clients, really shut down, and it did hurt us last year. So it's good to see that business picking back up greatly. Next slide, please. So just a snapshot on our business. We've got just under 120 million shares on issue. Our market cap is 14.1 million with that. We have debt of 10.5 million, gives us an enterprise value around 25 million. Our share price has actually been all over the place of lately. So with COVID coming in last year, we went down to 3 cents. A couple of weeks ago, on the back of not much, we went up to 36 cents, and now we're back around 12.5 cents. So that's our capital structure of the business. Next slide. Our focus moving on. So when I came to the business, I had to do two things, in my opinion, very shortly. It was to reduce the cost of the business. We reduced it by 25%, or approximately 2.5 million. We've invested more in our core platform. And then the most important part, which is the fourth box here, was to focus on the balance sheet. That's where I'm at the moment. So we've just come off a capital raise of $2.5 billion. And that's really important to fix our balance sheet to get our debt in control. But more importantly, moving forward, because that's now, over the next, so on the back of that, we need to grow this business. We need to scale it up, and we need to get revenue. And that's where a big part of our focus now is moving to. We've done the core systems, won't bore you all that right now, but it's really growing that revenue model and expanding. And and just next slide. And I really like to put out a big aim for our business and why our clients here. Why do we have Apple? Why do we have Westpac? Why do we have Microsoft? And why are so many of our solutions that we provide so unique? It's because of our software platform that sits behind smart locks. And that is the benefit or the competitive advantage that TZL has. And therefore, whenever you have some complexity on the access to any door, any locker, anything that you can think of where you need to have some access control, and when you complicate it with multiple users, different hierarchy of who can give access to, that's where TZL has a software platform for many of our clients. And I'll leave it with the next slide, is just really a bit more of a teaser. But these are some of the recent, this is only in the last month or so, where we had different clients come to us looking for different solutions. So the top left-hand corner, I'll do it quickly, is a gun cabinet for, well, I won't say who, but was for a police force. So if you can imagine, can't really see it there, but there's some high powerful guns in the back of that you don't want anyone just walking and getting access to. We have these large cage requirements that's come to us, which is the middle, top, middle, and right solutions for much bigger parcels that can be used, whether it be someone like Coates Hire or a client like that, or Bunnings that have different flat packs that they're trying to deliver. But the other one that excites me is the one at the middle that's come through is, unfortunately for New South Wales, they're illegal to use these things. But a problem for many offices at the moment is all around the world is staff coming in on electric scooters. Where do you put them? It's an OH&S issue. You can't park them at the front. You can't leave them. And so we're getting all these requests, mainly out of Europe, asking for these type of locker banks. And then the last right one there is actually a really simple one, is how do you lock down different cabinets in a house and office, particularly when you've got small children. And that's one of our, that device there. I'm very excited about that because I believe there's a lot of opportunity for that around the office. So that's just for you to more of a teaser, have a think about how far TZL can go from, say, a locker to more closer to the front door. And back over to you, Tim.
Thanks, Scott. Quite a few questions here. Now, the company has been around a long time, Can you give us a little bit more colour on the substantial shareholders, which kind of number around almost 50%, and how you're going to manage the debt load moving forward?
Yeah, really good question. So, I mean, the way I sort of look at TZ, we're really in version 3 of the company, and it has, as you said, it's been around for a while. And this version of the company is taking what we now know is what is our original smart lock technology, mix that with different modern technologies like your mobile phone, different access controls you can put over. That's really created the company. So I'd like to say that we're in version 3 and we're commercializing the business, as you can see. And that's really been, we're probably on about the six years of that journey. So to answer the question on the debt, the reality is that's one of the things that stood out to me. That was a barrier for me to jump at this role to start off with. But when we went through it, our debt is with our largest shareholder that owns, well, now they're a little bit lower, but about 20% of the company. We're doing a rights issue at the moment. That debt holder, being First Samuel, agreed to take up their rights. And 100% of this rights issue we're doing is to raise 7%, just over $7 million. 100% of those funds are used to pay off debt. So if you take 7 million off approximately just over 10 that we have now, that puts us in a much better position. And for a company our size, having a couple of million of debt, I think is sustainable. When I came into the company, the market cap was 6-7 million, and we had just under $12 million of debt. So we just paid down a little bit of it as well. So that was unsustainable for a company our size, and it cost our company dearly. We lost opportunities because clients looked at it and went, love your solution, you're number one, but we can't risk going with you.
Yeah, understood. And can you talk a little bit more of the advantages of the software platform? I mean, you kind of got the hardware, which is the lock. What value add does the software?
I completely understand. The hardware, the good thing when you provide some hardware is that's the thing that people see. And software is that thing, if it just works, you don't really understand it. And when you really come into, you think of our clients, imagine you're in Westpac and you've got 26,000 lockers to manage. And then you've got all your staff that might be coming from interstate that need a locker for the day to put their suitcase, a laptop, etc. You have clients like Apple that lock down prototypes behind different locker systems and, secretive like them. How do you make sure that your prototype, where it is, who has it, and if it's not with somebody that it's sitting in a locker? So what I'm saying there, that creates complexity, and you've got all this different workflow and hierarchy that sits behind it. And then and I'm talking about a day locker here. And therefore you need to have a system that you can manage your access controls, and in most of our cases, a locker system. Imagine you put the complexity on a postal locker where multiple carriers are accessing a locker, and then you don't want a $3,000 laptop, somebody just randomly coming up and getting access to that locker and go, great, there's a new Apple iPad or whatnot. So when you think there's complexity that sits behind multiple hierarchies, who can access when, and particularly around an asset as well, that's where you have complexity, and that's where our software platform wins. And I know I'm the MD of this company, I can say it, but look at our client list, that's the endorsement.
Yeah, understood. And those clients, who is your ideal client, given, there's added costs when you have to tailor different solutions for different clients?
Yeah, I agree with that, but I would like to, we have a core platform, right? So just because a client wants to adapt workflows, a lot of those tools they can do themselves or they can outsource it, but the core platform is a standard. Well, we have different platforms with different needs, but we have core platforms. So you're right, it is expensive doing standalone systems, but when you have your core platform and the different way with technology is developed, it's a lot more scalable now.
And how does your sales cycle work? Who do you've got a big sales team? Who's your first call?
Resellers. So partnering with, when I say resellers, so again, it depends where it is, but we're talking about day lockers here or the office, if you partner with the managers of those buildings, so your CBRE, those type of JLs, that's one way. But then there's other times, depends if it's new building being built or not. Sometimes you need to go with the facility managers as well, which links into JLL, depending on the size of the business. And then you have other clients that are large that might take up, let's say, the main building. They might take up half the floor. Then you might engage them, and you actually engage them through the office furniture is a big part of it, actually. So there's many different routes there. So, and to answer this question properly, US, we have a big sales team that goes direct. And that's because a big part of our US business is the university system. If you want to see more about that, we do have a video on our website with that solution with Fairfield Uni. But that is a big addressable market, but one that we've got a lot of people on the ground. And then we partner through over 50 resellers in the US. Our strategy in Europe is purely reseller. So we have our CTOs just relocated there. So we have a man on the ground there that technically knows our product or not. And we give all of our solutions or marketing, et cetera, through to the resellers. And here in Australia, because it's our home market, and it is, to be honest, it's a much smaller market. So a lot of the sales team here, it's actually the founder, myself, and one other that actually focuses on the Australian marketplace. But we do have an established client base here in Australia. They're just the bigger companies.